Thank you everyone for attending today, and if you are looking to speak to an item, we just wanted to remind you that the clerks are over here and you can always add your name to the list if you wish to speak to an item. But first this morning, I just wanted to make sure that everyone has a copy of the condolence motion, and this is in regard to our councillor colleague, Ron Moser. So today we have the flowers here as a remembrance of Councillor Moser, and just taking a few minutes, if any councillor wishes to speak about Councillor Moser and just remembering him at this time, you can do so now. Okay, Councillor Glenn DeBarmaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think many of us at this community council and our entire council said, reflected at our full council meeting, and I think that in addition to that, to pause now and think about the contribution of one of our colleagues who's dedicated 2.5 decades of his life, from when his children were born to basically when they got married, is fitting for the amount of work and contribution that Councillor Moser made. I think, as we all know, Councillor Moser got active with his local Ratepayers Association. I think, like many of us, he was just a private citizen wanting to make his community better, and as happens to many people, he became a member of his West Rouge Community Association. He then became the president of the West Rouge Community Association. He then got involved with a coalition of Scarborough Community Associations and eventually ran for office. I believe it's 1987, if my memory is correct, might be 1988. And since then gave 25 years of his life to making his part of Scarborough even more beautiful than it already is, because he was in a part of Scarborough that is very special when you look across the city. I'm not sure if there's many other wards that have as much park space as that ward. We are all blessed with, I would say, more park space than many of our colleagues across the entire city, but certainly Councillor Moser was in the genesis of the Rouge National Park. It was the Rouge Marsh and the concerns of the residents there that upstream development was going to hurt the river system and the forests and the wetlands and the wetland that was down at the mouth of the Rouge River. That started the proposal to create a joint national provincial park in the Rouge. It was in this council chamber where we had hundreds and hundreds of meetings, people come to meetings to make sure that this area wasn't rezoned, because the application back then was to rezone all 5,000 acres into an urban area. I saw the conceptual community plans that showed this part of the national park would be a subdivision, this part would have plazas, over here would be a school, here would be a major road. We had the East Metro Transportation Corridor, an 8-lane highway going right through the middle of this area, through the Finch Meander, which was designated at that time by the World Wildlife Fund as a critical unprotected Carolinian forest of national significance. So we've gone a long way from proposing to build highways through forests that the World Wildlife Fund intervened to try and protect, to where we are today. And I think, as we all know, Councillor Moser led that parade along with many of our colleagues, like Joyce, the late Joyce Trimmer and the late Edith Montgomery, and many, many more elected officials and many, many thousands more private citizens to get us to where we are today. The job is not over on the Rouge National Park. Councillor Moser has taken us, I will call it, 2/3 of the way there. The park is now at 20,000 acres, and there's 10,000 acres left that we want to incorporate. So I think that's going to be one of his main legacies. Certainly the waterfront trail, he was able to get funding, and we all know how hard it is to get funding even for a splash pad or a set of monkey bars in our ward. Councillor Moser was able to, through sheer tenacity, get the funding to connect the Rouge Marsh to Highland Creek, to create the Port Union Village, and that is the foundation of our waterfront trail. As Councillor Ainsley and Crawford and all of us know, the waterfront trail sort of dead ends around Highland Creek, but someday, if we all have our way, that waterfront trail will connect up to the Beaches Boardwalk Trail at Victoria Park, and any of us in Scarborough and any of our friends in Etobicoke should be able to go down to a waterfront trail on a bike and ride from one city to the next, or as the more athletic of us like to do when they have their marathons, actually run a marathon across the north shore of Lake Ontario, across the city of Toronto, along our waterfront. Councillor Moser has started that journey, and I think it's up to us to finish it. So, Madam Chair, I would just like to tip my hat to Councillor Moser. I hope that we will all be as fortunate to leave a legacy as good as Councillor Moser has left us. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And any other speakers? No. And Councillor Kelly.
Chair, I offered my remarks at council through a prepared text. Regrettably, I don't have it with me this morning. But my premise was that Scarborough, I think, is the greenest part of Toronto, and his ward is probably the greenest part of Scarborough. And you have to understand that. You have to understand the character of life, the quality of life in that part of Scarborough to understand the career of Councillor Ron Moser. He made it his life's ambition to protect that quality of life, and he held office at a time when the population of Toronto was expanding very rapidly, and it was moving into lands that were empty or underutilized, and a lot of those lands were in Ron's area. And when you visit that part of Scarborough today, you would realize that the quality of life has remained remarkably stable. And I think that if you understand the challenge that Ron faced and the way in which he meticulously reviewed all the development applications in that area, and when you look at the projects that he personally supported and drove, I think that you'll gain an appreciation of his contribution to political life, not only in his area, Scarborough, but in Toronto. I think that, frankly, that was his mission in life, and he accomplished it. And a lot of people should say thank you to him for that. I certainly do this morning.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And any others to speak? No, see none. I'll just say that, with Councillor Moser and his wife, especially with Heather and the family, they're so supportive of his role and his activities in the community and the job that he did for that particular community. But also I found that he was just an honest person. Anytime, as we know as councillors, and we have a very close, I'd say, camaraderie with Scarborough Community Council, and we've either worked in politics in prior careers, or we've worked for other politicians and worked for other levels of government. So it's a very interesting dynamic that we actually have in Scarborough, and it's very special. And I find that it's very, very different from other parts now that we've been amalgamated, and even other parts of Ontario. I think that Scarborough Council has always had that unique element to it, that people are really involved with their community and have such a history and a love for Scarborough. But I also, with Councillor Moser, anytime that I asked him anything, he was so honest about his position. So he would actually even come to my office, make an appointment, and come and speak to me, even if he was opposed to it. And he would say, this is my reasons why. And I found that to be something, it's integral to his personality, but it showed his true integrity and who he was as a person, and I really valued that. I would always say that about Councillor Moser, that I could either trust him with his word, but also if he wasn't in favor of it, he'd give you the reasons why. So he really had a lot of honor in that way. And so I just really want to remember him, and today we have the vase and the flowers here in remembrance of him. And we're going to take a moment of silence, but also I wanted to also let everyone know, as you've mentioned, some have mentioned this morning, that Ms. Edith Montgomery, who's a former councillor and deputy mayor for the city of Scarborough, also recently passed away. And a celebration of her life will be held on Tuesday, May 16th from 7 to 9 here at the Scarborough Civic Centre Rotunda. So right now we're going to have just a moment of silence and remember both Councillor Ron Moser and the former deputy mayor Edith Montgomery. Thank you. And so for this morning, introduction and enactment of general bills and bills to confirm the proceedings of Community Council will be the last items. Declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Seeing none, fine to move on. Confirmation of the minutes of the April 4th, 2017 meeting of Scarborough Community Council. Moved by Councillor Ainsley. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And now we'll go to the agenda. And so for today, again, because of the passing of Councillor Moser, I'll be moving 3 items out of the 4. The first item also falls into Councillor Shan's ward, and so we'll be looking to him for the first item, which is SC 22.1, which is the assigning of the ceremonial name Toronto Zoo Way to part of Meadowvale Road. Okay, yeah, Councillor Shan moves the staff recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And SC 22.2, which is proposed name change for Scarborough Bluffs Park, and that's being held by Councillor Crawford.
Yeah, I'd like to hold that and to speak to that, Madam Chair. Number 2.
And for SC 22.3 and SC 22.4, those are, we have deputants. So the first one is SC 22.3, application to remove a private tree at 29 Commons Drive, and that's in Ward 40. And SC 22.4, application to remove a private tree, 44 Jade Street, also in Ward 40. And there's deputants on both. And SC 22.5, impact of, okay, I'll just read the rest of it. Impact of tree roots on sidewalk conditions and maintenance, held by Councillor Karygiannis. And SC 22.6, which is speed limit review, Danforth Road between Midland Avenue and Brimley Road. And I'll be just moving a quick motion here, and that's to remove the word not. And so the recommendations will be City Council reduce the speed limit from 60 to 50 on Danforth Road between Midland Avenue and Brimley Road. Just have to see the motion on the screen, if we can get that. Great, and I'll just mention really quickly, I just want to thank staff on this. It was very, very close to meeting that, the requirements for that, but on Danforth Road, it's sort of a, parts of it are 60, parts of it are 50, but in this particular spot, it's quite a concern for children crossing the street. So I'll be looking to you to support this motion. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And SC 22.7, no standing zones, Valhalla Boulevard. Councillor Crawford.
I'll be moving the staff recommendations.
Okay. Moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And SC 22.8, which is traffic control signals review, Birchmount Road and Merrifield Drive. Councillor Thompson?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'd like to defer this item for 2 months.
Okay, and so that would be in June, the date? June. So there's none in May? Okay, so Councillor Thompson, we don't have one in May, so do you want June or September?
Whatever the 2-month fall is. So June is fine.
June's fine? Okay. So we'll do the June Community Council. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And SC 22.9, School Zone Safety Review, Elmfield Crescent Area. Councillor Karygiannis?
Chair, I want to move staff recommendations, and I'd like to take 30 seconds to say thank you to staff, to Mr. Mende, to Mark, and the whole team for coming through. This is a very difficult situation on Elmfield Crescent. There's a Kennedy Public School, and we have had difficulties with parking with parents. And I want to thank staff for moving this, and hopefully we will try to remedy the difficulties that we have, and we will not get a young person hurt. Thank you very much, staff, and I'd like to move staff recommendations.
Okay, moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And for SC 22.10, there is a deputant, which is Heavy Vehicles Prohibition, Pharmacy Avenue between Shepherd Avenue East and Finch Avenue East.
Is that coming down?
And SC 22.11, Speed Limit, Asian Court Drive. Councillor Lee?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the community for bringing this forward, and I move staff recommendation.
Okay, moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And SC 22.12, Speed Limit, Beach Grove Drive. And it's in Ward 44, which is Councillor. Okay, Councillor Ainsley. I don't see your name on here. That's on 44. That's right. Sorry, I have him. Yeah, great. Perfect. So moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And SC 22.13, Speed Limit, Golders Green Avenue, and also Councillor Ainsley, I'll look to you for that one. Thanks. Okay, Councillor DeBerry, moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And SC 22.14 also has a deputant, which is Community Sign Installation, Guildwood Village Community, in Councillor Ainsley's ward. And also for SC 22.15, endorsement of event liquor licensing purposes, that's also held for deputant. And let's see, okay, now for SC 22.16, this is 6175, 6183 Kingston Road. And this is for 1245, 710, and 11 Franklin Avenue, official plan amendment, zoning amendment, and draft plan of subdivision application. This is for a preliminary report. So I'm going to be moving to adopt the recommendations, but again, just looking to see if there's anybody here that wanted to speak on this particular item.
Sorry, Madam Chair, just
Yep.
on a point of order.
Yes.
So the first recommendation, and this is to arrange the meeting with the local ward councillor, and the ward's currently vacant.
Yes, this one is,
Do we have any recommendation?
this one, I did, yeah, I did speak with his staff, but we could defer it until either a counselor's in place or
Or, Madam Chair, maybe we could just add the clause "and/or appropriate city staff." Because we may
It's
have an
really-
appointment by the time this meeting's actually scheduled, or a by-election.
Right.
But if we don't,
I don't want to hold off the development
Yeah.
application.
I think it may be that one of the other local councilors may wish to attend. Maybe yourself as the chair of the community council. We don't know, so maybe if we just let it move forward with the word councilor and/or
Okay,
appropriate city officials.
okay. Then did you want to move that
I'll add that
recommendation?
amendment
Okay,
to
So-
recommendation number
Just
one.
on a point of order, so I'm clear what's actually happening. You are proceeding with the recommendation to be led by staff and/or maybe the chair of community council?
Yes, I'll leave that up to staff and other colleagues to discuss, because I don't know when staff are hoping to have this meeting, but it may be that if there's an appointment or a by-election by then, it won't be an issue. But if it is, then city staff, I think, should work with our chair to say.
Right.
Perhaps another local counselor close to the area might understand it and be willing to represent the community council at that meeting, or the chair. So I'm not saying who, but that,
I'm fine with attending if,
and I'm fine with attending as well, if,
Yeah, and Madam Chair, and that was really the point that I wanted to make, because if we were to simply leave it to staff, we would be setting a precedent that I'm not aware of, where counselors or a counselor was not involved as part of this process. We understand the local counselor has deceased, and we get that, but I just want to make sure that at least the chair, and we have other counselors, Counselor Kelly is close by, I believe, Counselor Ainsley, who are quite aware and familiar with the area. And at the same time, I don't think we want to put the applicant in a position where they are having to wait, because waiting is going to cost them money, time, and so on. And I think that we can actually do service to the community by having the involvement of counselors or council, such as yourself, and in consultation with city staff, so we could move this matter forward as opposed to delaying it.
exactly. Yeah,
so I think that's a friendly amendment. I'm going to try this wording if the clerk's is typing as fast as I'm writing. At the end of recommendation one, where it says together with the word counselor, I would say comma, the chair of Scarborough Community Council, so we've designated somebody, and other Scarborough councilors if interested. So depending on who that appropriate person is, I think you're correct, Councillor Thompson, we should be the ones giving direction. So I think if we say the chair of our Scarborough Community Council, given these unusual circumstances, and other local councilors if
right. And
they're
then,
interested. So the invitation is technically open to all of us. I suspect that maybe some of just the local councilors want to help out the neighboring community.
great.
So it'd
That
be
sounds great.
Ward councillor, that's chair of Scarborough Community Council, and other Scarborough councilors if interested.
Okay. So,
I think all of our meetings are technically open to all of us to attend, but
yes, and I also did speak with Councillor Moser's staff about this particular item, and they're supportive, but I do think that it's important for a councillor representative to be there, so I will be there for sure. And then again, it's open if other councillors in the area want to attend, and that way we still have a reporting system to either the new councillor or the interim, or however that will work at the purview of full council. So I think that's a friendly amendment, and I don't think we have to wait for it to be up on the screen. If everybody agrees to that, then we can all vote in favor of the and vote to the amendment. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries.
Madam Chair, just on a point of order.
Yes.
SC 22.15.
Yes.
That went by rather quickly. I'm not sure actually what we actually did with it.
Oh, we didn't, and so there is a speaker.
I see, I didn't see that part. Okay, great, thanks.
And so then we'll be moving on. This one is SC 2217. This is in Councillor DeBeer-Maker's ward. It's 1021 to 1035 Markham Road zoning amendment and its refusal report. And Councillor DeBeermaker, I believe that you've been working with staff on a motion.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll hold the item for now, and I would just maybe on a point of order note, there is no one down to speak at this point. I know traditionally we would have these planning applications in the afternoon, but to facilitate the efficiency of how we operate, it's, if you will, up and ready to go. So if there are members of the public or the applicant who I see is here, if they wish to speak, I just want them to know they're welcome to put their names down to speak. If they don't wish to speak, that's okay too. But because of the change in procedure, I don't want them to lose their opportunity to speak if they wish, because they're thinking that they're going to speak at 1:30 when we normally have these things. So if they wish to speak, they're invited. If they don't want to speak, that's fine too. But just to put that on record, that if they want to speak, they have to actually talk to the clerk.
Yes.
Name on the list.
Yeah, and I've just been reminding everybody at the beginning of each meeting now that if they do wish to speak to any item, that they can put their name right at the anytime actually during the course of the entire meeting. You're welcome to come down and put your name on the agenda to speak. And so, Councillor Merrimaker, you're going to hold this item currently? Okay. Yes, Councillor
Is
Keary.
this a time item for 1:30?
No, there are no more timed items.
No, they used to be. Yeah, now we just do them as first come, first serve.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I will more likely have to leave before 11 o'clock today. And I'm just wondering, because I have a matter associated with 2215, and I
That's right.
understand that's being held down. I don't presume that this would be a long item, and I'm just wondering, begging the indulgence of committee, that we could perhaps just vary the agenda and to deal with that item prior to the other items that are action items that are here. We have, it appears that we have a speaker on 2215, Mr. Glasek, who's
Yes,
here to speak on that.
Yes.
Just if we could deal with that.
Sure.
So I'd like to be here for that.
no problem. So Councillor Thompson's asking to vary the order paper. I understand that you do have an important meeting today, so we can deal with SC 22.15 immediately and then go back to the beginning of the agenda. So all those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And so we'll go to SC 22.15, and that is the endorsement of event for liquor licensing purposes, and it's Ward 37 and Ward 43. Oh, and Mr. Glavich, you can come up.
Good. Excellent idea. Excellent. Excellent idea. Good.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, so Councillor Thompson, did you want to speak to the, no, okay, great. So this is the seeking endorsement of events for liquor licensing purposes, so we're just moving moving the item?
Together, we're moving it.
Yes, okay. And I think everybody,
And everybody's welcome to both events.
right, especially to Diana's. All those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Great. And so we'll be coming back to the beginning of the agenda again, which is SC 22.3, which is the application to remove a private tree on 29 Commons Drive. And we have two speakers today. So it's Demetrios Grivas, or there might be one. Is there one speaker or two? Just one. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Hi, Mr. Grivas. So you have 5 minutes to speak, and there's a clock right there at the side, and then councilors may ask you questions. And if do you have some pictures there as well? Sure, you can give that to staff, and they can put it up there on the screen.
Excuse me.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Good morning, Council, Madam Chair. My name is Demetrios Grivas, and I'd like to thank the Council once again for allowing me the opportunity to speak here again. At the last council meeting on January 17, 2017, a decision with respect to the removal of this tree was deferred because the city arborist was concerned when I reported that the root plate, there was root plate movement during windy events, right? This decision was deferred to today to give the arborist, I don't know, what's your name, sorry? It was, you were here, sir?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
okay, we know all the staff.
Okay, yeah, so the decision was referred to today for the opportunity for the city arborist to come and inspect the property or the tree in April after the spring thaw and during a windy event. Mr. Mark Ventresca came out yesterday from Urban Forestry to inspect the tree and reported back to my arborist the tree was in sound shape. However, the wind speed yesterday was minimal with maximum gusts of only up to 41 kilometers an hour, so he could not have possibly observed what I initially reported. I'd like to inform the council that I have observed root plate heaving on several occasions, and I've managed to record video of this using my cell phone on April 10th of this month during a windy event. And I'm prepared to show the video. I have it here to the council if they're interested in seeing it. Referring to diagram 1, this is a elevation view of the tree with respect to the house, relative to the house. And what I've indicated here is the fall path that it would take based on the prevailing winds from the west. You can see this diagram is to scale, showing, excuse me, showing the tree at a height of 60 feet here and the house at a height of 17 feet, and the trajectory it would take if this tree were to topple based on the prevailing winds coming from the west. I'd like to note that due to the height of the tree relative to the house, at the point of contact, this tree would act like a lever, and the point of contact, it would multiply its force. If you can show diagram number 2, please. The force that it would apply here would be, at the point of contact, would be at a magnitude far greater than the weight of the tree. So, in effect, this tree coming down, if we estimate the weight of the tree at around 6,000 or 6,500 pounds, the amount of force that would be exerted at this corner of the house would be in order of magnitudes higher than that, because it would act as a lever. So this tree would not just fall and rest on the roof of the house. This would come directly through the house and sever the house in half. Okay. Diagram 3, please. Yes, thank you. In addition to this, I'd like to show the council a plan view of the proximity of the tree to the house and how the prevailing winds from the west would topple the tree directly over our bedrooms. So you can see the position of the tree is right here, and we have 2 beds here, which are occupied by our children, and the other bed here that is occupied by myself and my wife, and my elderly father-in-law occupies this room. So this tree, the location of this tree, if it were to fall directly on the house, that would have dire impacts on anyone who's occupying those rooms at that time. I just want to show you a picture also. You see, this is a picture of our children's bedroom and the location of the tree right outside the window there. So the position of this tree is over our bedrooms. Therefore, we don't feel safe under that tree. Can we go to the next slide, please? So also, it was questioned during the last council meeting if uprooted trees is a common event. So I did a quick internet search and found that here in Toronto, several trees of the same species have uprooted during windy events in recent years. The first article there is an 80-foot blue spruce, which is identical to ours, that on 10 Birchcliff Avenue in Scarborough, that uprooted on October 20th and fell across 2 properties, damaging
Sorry,
cars.
Mr. Grievous, your time's up, but other councillors may ask you a few questions about what other incidences you found as well. So thank you very much. Are there any questions of the deputant? Yep, Councillor Karygiannis.
Thank you for coming, sir. You showed us one slide. Is there any more that have happened? Can you please?
Yes, there's another one here, 480 Glen Lake Avenue, October 2012. Same windy event. It's a blue spruce as well. That was toppled because of high winds. And the third one I have here, this is on Glengarry Avenue in Toronto. This tree, this picture I got from Google Maps, and you can see the tree is in decent shape. There's no roots exposed, there's no structure, nothing indicating that the tree would fall, but it did fall on January 10th of this year during a windy event. And there it is there, the newspaper clipping. So, just like to add that just because a tree looks like it's not going to fall, doesn't mean it isn't going to fall.
Thank you, sir.
Great. And any other questions of the deputant? No? Sorry, I just have a few questions. I know, I remember from the last time, Mr. Grievous. So when did you purchase the house?
August 2014.
2014. And then so when you inspected the house, did you look at the tree at that time?
We did, and at that point, it didn't seem like there was any, but we couldn't really evaluate it. There wasn't wind, and it was during the windy events that we could see the root plate heaving. You could stand under it and feel it heaving, and I could show you the video if you have time. I took it from about 20 feet away with my cell phone, and you could visually see it when you zoom in. You could see the root plate heaving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And any other councillors? No, seeing none. Oh, sorry, Councillor Kelly? Yes.
The video to staff?
It was requested that we show it yesterday. I also got a arborist report indicating that the tree was dangerous, had a significant lean towards the house, and in the report, we stated that we have a video. But
your fears seem to be contradicted by the findings of our professional staff. And if you took videos to prove your point, why wouldn't you show staff?
They requested to see the video yesterday. I was out of the country until yesterday, so I wasn't able to go to council, to urban forestry, and show them the video. But I can show them the video at any moment. I have it on my computer.
Show them the video today if I defer consideration of this matter?
Sorry?
Would you show them the video today if I defer consideration of this matter to later down the agenda today?
I can show the video at any moment, yeah.
So you will show the video to staff?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
We can, do
could
you
I
want to
ask
vary?
could I ask council to defer consideration of this until later?
At the end of
in
the
the meeting?
agenda? Sure. Sure. Okay, so Councillor Kelly is asking to, we're going to hold this item down. Mr. Grievous is going to speak with staff, possibly along with Councillor Kelly. And what we'll do is we'll come back to this because there is 3 more items, or I think there's actually 4 with Councillor Crawford's, and then we'll come back to this item. Okay? Great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And Mr. Grievous, thank you. So you can go over there with staff,
Sure.
and then we'll resume back to the item after.
Sure.
After.
Thank you.
And so we're going to move on then to SC 22.4, which is the application to remove a private tree at 44 Jade Street. And we do have a deputant as well, Mr. Tim Young. Mr. Young, thank you. And so for this one, Mr. Young, you have 5 minutes to speak.
Yeah.
And again, other councillors may ask you some questions, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I try to make this short. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Council. It's the first time I'm here, but I don't want to spend too much time. The reason why I'm here is I want to show the better understanding of why I want to move the tree, cut down the tree. Okay. This is the first picture. You can see the tree is very close to our property. And second picture. This is from the roof of the my building, and to see the tree. If you see the tree, I took it. Yes, the picture was took yesterday, and you will see some of the branches already rotten. It is very hard to see from the floor. You have to climb all the way up to the roof to see that tree is aging. Okay, this one. A few years ago, because of some dead branches, we did redo the roof. And if you see the tree last year we inspect, there's some animal try to get into our roof already. And there's already a success over there. I believe it's either last year or the year before. And we have to ask expert to try to get that animal out. And then after that, we put some wire over there. Okay. So what I've been told, the animal is getting to our house is from the tree. They can go up and then jump to the roof and make the house over there. And this year we already see there is some animal you try to look into our property. Maybe they like it. That part I don't know. In this picture, you can see the trees is growing tilted. It is not straight up. That is what worries me, is tilting towards to my neighbor and also to the house. This is another look of the tree and very close to my house. Next one. Okay. This is another angle there to see how close the trees are. That makes me worry. Okay, next one. You can see my neighbor have a swimming pool over there, and also from time to time there is dead branches, or when it is a rainy day, the branches, some broken branches choose to fall into their property. Although they haven't complained yet, because we still have very good relationship. But I don't know if one day they're sitting over there and enjoying the sun and there's some dead branches fall into their head and that may be damaged. That part I don't know. Okay. That is all the picture I just want to show, because I'm not an engineer. I don't have all these other picture that to show to you. So me and my wife already living in this house for 30 years, and we are already senior. That is what we worry about, that we don't have time and the money to maintain the tree, to trim the tree and so on. And as what we are worried about is if the storm, the wind, if there is big storm or big slow storm happen, more branches are broken, we really don't know what will happen. And that is the safety that we are concerned, and also I'm concerned about my neighbor also. I don't want any accident that is happening to them. And also I'm worried about the animal, since they light my house, it's the ceiling, they try to come back again. I don't know how much I can do to prevent that. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Young.
I still have 30 minutes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions of the Deputant? Yes, Councillor Kelly.
Have you phoned any arborists to come over and trim your tree?
Yes, I try. Yes, I do. And then there's a report they sent to me, and also they already applied for removing the tree. I think the report sent to the council already. I have one copy over here, but you should have it.
Have you at any time trimmed the tree?
Yes, when I was young. Not anymore now because I have a heart condition and my wife is, we are also getting aged now. So that is, even though I have a hard time to climb up to the ceiling, to the roof, to inspect it now. So that is what I worry about.
But there are businesses that know how to professionally trim trees that might solve your problem with respect to animals jumping on the roof.
That is what the professional advise us is the best way is to deter the animal is to remove that tree because that tree is very close to our property. There is a maple tree at the front of our property which is further away. That doesn't seem to causing the problem. We see animals jumping onto our trees, that one, not a maple tree. We keep trimming it, but when the tree is young and not that tall, I can trim it, but now the tree is over 40 feet height, and it is not that easy to trim on the top. If you look at some of my picture, you can see the bottom part is already trimmed off, because that is all I can do. You are right, there is always expert and people to do it without me, but you're talking about how much it will cost me. And that is what, because I'm already a senior and I'm living on CPP now, CCP or CPP, whatever, that is another burden for us. And I don't know my health will be as good as what I'm standing here today. So that is my concern. I know it is a little bit selfish. I just talking to my house, but that is the way that's all I can do now, is to get the tree removed. We do have other trees planted in our property. And
Would you agree that it's probably cheaper to trim the tree than to take it out completely?
I partially agree, not all. The price, we ran into about $300 to $1,000 to do that, okay? But to remove the tree, and you're talking about $2,000 to $3,000, depends on who you're asking, okay? And it is, to remove the tree, I think it is just one shot deal. I will not have a nightmare to sleep. Me and my wife were very happy on if we see that, because that will become our burden. And also, what we are thinking is, once we got that tree removed, we will thank everybody who is agree on that to date. I'm not suggesting, but this is very selfish, I know that. But this is because I'm living in this house, maybe another 5 years, maybe another 10 years, I don't know. Maybe 20, I don't know. But if every time when I see the tree and the tree is not a straight one, it is tilted, that is what I worry about. One day it may fall to my next door neighbor's house, and that will causing a big problem.
Thank you, sir.
Any question? Yep, and Councillor DeBarmaker?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for coming in today. Did I understand you correctly that the last time you trimmed the tree was when you were young?
Yeah,
And
younger. I mean,
okay, younger.
63.
So that might have been.
I still can cry up.
It might have been, say, 2 or 3 years ago.
That's a yes, we do trim the 2 or 3 years ago, especially after that winter storm, 2 years ago. There's some branches it fall on the roof, and we do some minor repair on that.
Yes, but did you hire a professional company then to come and, I'll say, give your tree a haircut so that all the dead branches are gone?
Most of the time I do it myself because I'm I just try to save money on that, and also I feel that I am capable of doing that.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker.
It just now, it's my health and my condition, I don't think I can do that.
My wife doesn't allow me to climb on the roof. I'm very clumsy, so I'm, I'm
No,
sure
no,
your wife loves you and doesn't want you to fall off the roof, but
if-
if your wife is telling you not to climb on the roof anymore, I would support her.
If I have a lot of money, if I can afford it, of course, I will ask some people to do it for me, okay? That is definitely the answer. But I'm concerned about my income now and also my health.
Thank you, Mr. Young. And any other questions of the deputant? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, sir. And so we're just going to move to staff, and if staff could let us know and just give us feedback on the condition of the tree as well. As I just see on this is a arborist report which states that the tree is in good condition. And so I just want to hear from staff their opinion as well.
Hi, Madam Chair. Yeah, the deputant has brought up a couple of issues. The issue the tree's on an angle. The tree is growing on a slight angle. It's not concerning in any way. It's a little over 60 centimeter honey locust. They're quite solid. I don't have any concerns about this tree falling over at the base. There is some dead wood in the crown. Pruning, as mentioned by the councilors, would deal with that, as would potentially pulling the tree back a little bit from over the roof if they're concerned about animal access. Typically, animals will find a way to get up if there's something of interest. The tree presence or absence may not stop them.
Great, and thank you. Any questions of staff? I have a few questions, so thank you so much. So the leaning of the tree, I think we've spoken about this on other issues, so that's quite natural to
Yeah, so
trees,
there's a difference
correct?
between a tree that was growing straight and is now leaning and a tree that is grown on a lean, because the tree has grown with its root system in place to compensate for any pressure on that lean. And there are trees growing out of slopes that are growing at it basically perpendicular to the slope, and they're perfectly stable. So
Okay.
so this is a minor deviation. It's not a concern.
Okay, and so how often would the homeowners have to prune this tree?
The industry recommends between 5 and 10 years. So I mean, it's pretty big space. I mean, it's not too tight, but the idea being that it depends on the tree. Much like, I mean, it's always good to have a checkup if it's a big tree more frequently. This tree is not particularly huge. So I think if you were to have a professional in every 5 to 10 years, that would certainly cover your issues. And if there's deadwood accumulating, at a certain point it may be time, but it certainly doesn't appear to be that we've reached that point. At this point, it has some deadwood in it, not a lot.
Okay, so the maintenance on it would be once every 5 to 10 years?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and so if it were 5 years and then another 7 years and then possibly another 10 years, something of that
Easily
nature?
do something like that, correct.
Okay, and then also for the animals, they would be able to trim the tree and at the same time have maybe that portion trimmed slightly if.
They could definitely do that. As I said, I mean, the animals typically are capable of getting to your roof regardless of whether there's a convenient tree or not. So if they're interested to get up there, they will find a way.
Okay, thank you so much. And any other questions of staff? No, seeing none, okay. And are there any to speak then? Yeah, Councillor Kelly.
Well, Chair, I will move the recommendation of staff. I'm not particularly fond of honey locusts, frankly. But I do know, having a dozen or more trees on my property, that they require constant attention. Like the deputant, I'm at the point now where my wife gets a bit nervous if I revert back to my Scarborough undergraduate days as a tree monkey, and trimmed trees all over the borough back in the day. I have to now rely on professional arborists. They know their job. Wish they weren't as expensive as they are, but in the long run, healthy trees, as it's indicated in the report, have many benefits, one of which is real estate value. And a lot of people tend to ignore that aspect of trees, the contribution of trees to the value of their property. I think that if treed by a professional arborist, many of the concerns that the deputant has expressed this morning will be addressed, and he will continue to have a healthy tree that contributes to the enjoyment and the value of his property. And I would urge members of council to support the report from the staff as well.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And others to speak? Yep, Councillor DeBearmaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just briefly, I'll also be supporting the staff recommendations, and I don't think my partner has ever wanted me to go anywhere near a roof or ever climb a tree, because I am clumsy and I have big feet. So I stay away from roofs and I stay away from trees, and I let the professionals do it. If we were to, I think like the application, that's the other application, worried about the wind, you know, if we're concerned that there are animals on our roof, and maybe the animal or the squirrel or the raccoon somehow getting from a tree to our roof, and therefore we want to cut it down, well, we would cut down almost every single tree in the city of Toronto. There wouldn't be any left, because trees exist and animals exist. So I just don't think the case has been made to take down a very healthy tree. Like your haircut, every once in a while you got to cut your hair. And if you hadn't cut your hair for 3 years or 5 years or 7 years, you'd be looking a little shaggy. So I think if you have a professional barber or hairstylist, you have a professional tree trimmer, everything's going to be fine. So I'd recommend that the least expensive option for this homeowner is just to bring in a professional company to trim his tree. It'll be healthy, it'll be beautiful, there'll be no dead branches, and it'll look as good as his haircut. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And any others to speak? Nope, seeing none. I'll just speak very briefly. I'm also going to support Councillor Kelly and also to staff in supporting the staff report. I also concur with that. This is what we deal with in the city. I mean, this is why we're a city within a park, and we have an amazing tree canopy, and Scarborough's blessed to have an amazing tree canopy. It's because we appreciate our trees and support the trees in our neighborhoods, and it does add to our real estate value. And I think that I do understand when people age and people get older. I don't think Councillor Kelly is there yet, but still, precautions are there, and you know, as we age, we just have to be careful. But that's why we leave it to professionals. And if it is exactly what our staff are saying, once every 5 to 10 years, that's not a lot of upkeep and maintenance, especially when you're in your senior years. So if it's once every 10 years, you're looking at a few times there. So I think that that's something that is definitely worth it to keep our tree canopy. So I'll be supporting the staff, and Councillor Kelly is moving staff recommendations. So all those in favor, opposed, and that carries. So, sir, we're just recommending that we're supporting the arborist report at this time, and we're recommending if you should hire a professional to help you. Thank you. And so are we, I'm just wondering if we're coming back to the, nope, not ready yet. Okay, so we're going to move on to SC 22.10, which is heavy vehicles prohibition, Pharmacy Avenue between Shepherd Avenue East and Finch Avenue East, and we have deputant. Thank you. And so, Mr. Glavich, thanks so much for coming today, and I'm just going to start your time, and you know the drill.
I grew up in the area a long time ago. I'm sure Councillor Kelly has done a community session meeting on the area. On the farm, the actual term, Shepherd, Finch, Steeles are big roads. Pharmacy doesn't even go underneath the 401. It's a smaller street. I'm sure the city uses other words, arterial road or something. It's a small street. There's Sir John A. Macdonald on Huntingwood, which is between Shepherd and Finch, is Sesame Street, and you all know how to get to Sesame Street now. That road, my goddaughter lives just off that, and she goes to Sir John A. Macdonald, and even my barber's in that area. I can't find a barber in Gilbert, I don't know if any of you have kids. When you take them to school, a lot of people drive really, really fast. A lot of heavy trucks use it, and a lot of regular cars use that as it was the 401. And if you're taking your kid and somebody just went by at 80 kilometers per hour on a truck, you would have a heart attack on the spot. I have taken my goddaughter when I used to drive to Sir John A. Macdonald. Sir John A. Macdonald even works as an advanced poll for aging, that part of aging court. I do agree with the report that heavy trucks should not be anywhere there. It's a local road. It's between Finch and Shepherd. Shepherd and Finch, yeah. North of Finch is slightly different, but that section of there should never be any heavy traffic. A lot of people, when there's rush hour traffic on Shepherd, they go up Pharmacy and they go east on Huntingwood Drive to bypass it, and they go in the Pharmacy part. They go really fast, and it's dangerous for the kids. And it's 99% of the things in there are houses, residential houses. Imagine if any streets you all live in, somebody was going way more than the speed limit. I think the speed limit is 50, if I remember correctly, or 60. People have gone up to 80, especially the trucks. And if you get hit by a car, it's different than if a heavy truck or an 18-wheeler hits you. You will die, especially all the kids. They go there, Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of the deputant? Nope, seeing none. Thank you so much. And so on this item, do we have questions of staff? No. Okay, seeing none. And to speak, Councillor Karygiannis?
Chair, if I may,
Yes.
is that a question?
Well, I was actually not a staff, but I was going to speak to.
Well, I'll just move the recommendations, and I understand that Councillor Karygiannis has an amendment. I think the report, though small, is succinct and to the point. And if I may editorialize the provincial government's intention to move into photo radar for school districts, I think is eminently supportable. I attempted to do something like that here a number of years ago, and I'm looking forward to the cooperation of my colleagues in that area of endeavor as well. But in the meantime, I would ask for their support for this prohibition.
Okay, thank you so much. And then we'll go over to Councillor Karygiannis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've asked staff to put a motion. What I'm looking for, and I've spoken to a lot of my colleagues, is to extend this to McNichol Avenue. Councillor Kelly and I share a pharmacy. North of McNichol, there's some industrial area, and I realize that they need to use trucks. And trucks in order to move down to McNichol is fine, but I'm looking for your support to extending from Shepherd all the way up to McNichol. There's also a school Councillor Kelly has 3 schools on Pharmacy south of Finch, and I have one north of McNichol and also a church, so I'm looking for your support to extending this to McNichol Avenue. Spoke to staff and everybody seems to be okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, and questions of the mover? No, okay, seeing none. Then on Councillor Karygiannis's motion, all those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. And on the item, all those in favor? Opposed, and that carries. Yes, item as amended. Yes, thank you very much. And so the last one with the deputant is SC 22.14, which is Community Sign Installation, Guildwood Village Community. And we have a speaker as well. Great, Mr. Glavich, thank you so much. And I'm just going to start your time.
14, right?
Yes. This is Guildwood Village Community.
Yeah, I live in Gilwood. I am sure what's called Dave Arnold, the president of GVCA, talked to Councillor Ainsley, and it's good to have a sign for your community. My issue is that, how could I put it this way? Imagine it's your anniversary with your wife, and you take her to McDonald's with a 2-for-1 coupon. That's a crappy anniversary date versus taking her to a theater and proper fancy dinner. I hope when the signs get designed and everything that they're good quality. And I don't know if Gilwood has its own flag, just like Scarborough has its flag, but I'm trying to say words that I can actually say. To be a good design, quality design, that the community gets asked about it, not just a cheap sign, those road signs you see. I know in Councillor Kelly's and Karygiannis's area on Finch and Warden, the signs Warden Avenue have been upgraded, and community, just like in any of your communities, they deserve an actual good quality sign that we can be proud of, not just a crappy little thing like this that says Gilwood, That's all. I hope the city that does a better, good design for the signs, That's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions of the deputant? Seeing none, thank you so much. And questions of staff? No, seeing none. And to speak? Yep, Councillor Ainsley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a motion that I'd like to move to amend the recommendations in the report. It's simply adding on the second part, City Council direct the public realm section and transportation services to be responsible for maintenance of the installed signs, including removal of graffiti and keeping the signs in a state of good repair. And so I'm putting forward this motion for community signs at the request of Guildwood residents. There's a couple of communities in my ward, Curran Hall communities and Seven Oaks specifically, that have had these community signs installed on the boundaries. I want to thank the transportation staff and the public realm staff for the work on the signs that are there now, because what they do is they actually consult with the local community and try and have some aspect of the local community included on those signs. So Seven Oaks, for example, in the north end of my community, there are 3 community signs actually have 7 oak trees on them, which are representative of that community and why the community is known as Seven Oaks. So I want to thank staff for all their work, the community for their input, and I hope my colleagues will support this request. Thank you.
Great, and questions of the mover? No, seeing none, thank you. And all those in favor of the motion? Opposed, and that carries. And item as amended, opposed, and that carries. Thank you. And so the items we have left are SC 22.2, and we'll come back around to that one first. And so this is the proposed name change for Scarborough Bluffs Park. And are there questions of staff? So Councillor Crawford held the item. Nope, seeing none. Okay, to speak? Okay. And Councillor Crawford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think as most of us in this room know, Scarborough Bluffs is probably one of the most beautiful natural wonders of the city of Toronto. We who also know the Scarborough Bluffs Park, and I've been in and around that most of my life, used to think that it was one of the best kept secrets of the city. It was something we kind of enjoyed. We didn't really want anybody else to enjoy that, but unfortunately that time is over. We have seen in my local area over the last number of years a lot more people coming down and enjoying Scarborough Bluffs Park. And a lot of that has to do, I think, in the last 5 or 6 years with social media and Google. The fact people can just pick up a phone and go anywhere in the world and, of course, across the city. What that has meant, number one, we're getting a lot more people down to the Bluffs Park and to the parks, I think, in that area in general, which is a good thing. We have wonderful city parks, and as we were mentioning with our tribute to Councillor Moser, that part of the city, and my ward too, is one of the greenest parts of the city. So we love the fact that there are lots of parks out there, and we love the fact that people are coming down to visit those parks. Unfortunately, one of the challenges we've been having with Bluffers Park and actually the Scarborough Bluffs Park, which is part of what we're here for today, is there's been a bit of confusion over the last couple of years. So when somebody throws into Google Scarborough Bluffs, it directs them not down to Bluffers Park, because the actual name, by the way, is Bluffers Park, Scarborough Bluffers Park. The park, which is down below. The park on the top is called Scarborough Bluffs Park. So when people put in the name in Google, it sends them to the park up top. Now that's a very small park, really more for community use. It's not very large, not a lot of parking, but what we've been finding over the last couple of years that lots of people have been coming to this park. They get to the top, they park, they bring out the picnic baskets, and they actually start enjoying the park. And then they realize, oh, let's go down to the to Bluffers Park, let's go down to the beach. Well, there's no access, you're a couple of hundred meters up, but they see these informal trails that have been there for many, many years. So what's happening is people are actually starting to want to go down to the beach, which is a very unsafe thing to do. We had last year, or generally yearly, over 20 rescues off the Scarborough Bluffs. In fact, there was one last week, the first one of the season that happened. So we've been looking with staff to figure out how do we manage all of these challenges of, again, having, it's a good challenge to have. It's a popular park now. People are coming to that. One of the suggestions we are doing is to change the name from Scarborough Bluffs Park to Scarborough Crescent Park. It sounds like a simple change, but in fact, we're hoping that that will be a big change when people want to get down there, that at least if you want to get down to the park at the bottom and enjoy the beach, you will get there through Google. So this is, and our staff have been working with Google, and this is one of the changes we're looking at doing to get people, again, to where they want to go, not necessarily on the top. But again, this is part of a lot of changes that we are actually doing right now with Bluffers Park and Scarborough Bluffs Park to make it, number one, more accessible and to have people enjoy the beauty of that area. And again, I'll just throw some, and this will be coming to us in the coming months. We're actually doing sidewalks. We're redoing Brimley Park all the way down and actually putting a sidewalk in to make it safe for people coming up and down. We're looking at the possibility of putting parking up at the top at the Catholic school, and we're in discussions with them. We've looked at the possibility of shuttle vehicles down. And we have challenges with that, of course, because of TTC. You can't use TTC. But we're looking at different ways of figuring out how we can manage the popularity of that. So these are sort of things that we're looking at doing as we get into the next couple of years. But this is one of the first ones that we're looking at doing, just trying to, and it really will help the local people in the community. Because on a weekend, if you go there on usually Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, the parking is unbelievable down there, that we're getting into to fights with residents, fights with people wanting to just park there. And our EMS actually told us that if there was an emergency, as there was last week with trying to get down to save somebody, and it's on a weekend, on a Saturday or Sunday, they can't even get access to the bluff because of all the cars down there. So this is what this motion is trying to do, is to make it safer for the residents, make it safer for the people who want to enjoy the beauty of that area. So I'll be moving the motion. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so Councillor Crawford's moving staff recommendations.
Oh, really? I'm not sure, Counselor, but I could ask staff offline about that afterwards on if that was a typo or it should have been the GH on the other side.
It's a great question, because the old format this is the old format, and the new format is with the GH. And
The main part of what staff want to do, they want to take the bluffs out of the name, and Scarborough, well, so, to answer the question, Councillor, I believe Scarborough Crescent is actually a street very close to this, so I think the Scarborough Crescent name that has been historically is probably spelt that way. That's probably why they use that spelling.
And so that's possibly something you could check between now and council, and just get clarification.
But I'm pretty sure it's
I
because
think it
the
is.
name of the street in the area was historically spelled that way.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Great question. And reminder, so all those in favor then of the staff recommendations and opposed, and that carries. Thanks so much. And so now we're going to go over to SC 22.5, which is the impact of tree roots on sidewalk conditions and maintenance. And Councillor Karygiannis, you held this item. And questions of staff.
I'm just wondering, because I think we have deputants on the one.
We do, and so,
Because they're all waiting? Sorry. Because they're all waiting, and then once we finish with the deputants, we can come into council. So that would be my proposal, that we do number 17 first, because there's
so
deputants.
you want to deal with deputants first?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go over to Councillor DeBearmaker. This is your item, which is SC 2217. So it's 1021 to 1035 Markham Road zoning amendment refusal report. And so the first deputant, this is our only deputant, which is Lindsay Dale Harris. Are you Ms. Dale Harris?
The video shows that there is a problem with the route. It goes up and down. His advice is not to make a decision, defer.
Sorry about that. Okay. Okay.
On behalf of Lash Active Plaza Corporation, and principals from that corporation are also here today. It's with respect to a zoning bylaw amendment application, which was submitted in December of 2016, and it's to permit a 39-story mixed-use building with approximately 380 residential units. I have here some slides, if I could give them perhaps to...
Sure. If you want to give those to staff, and staff can put those up on the screen.
I realize I only have 5 minutes, so I'll speed along. That's the development proposal, and the next slide provides a context of where it is. It's at the northeast corner of Markham Road and Bremerton Drive. The site is part of a comprehensive development plan for the 1 and 2 Meadow Glen Place lands, and it's really the last piece of the jigsaw puzzle for that quadrant of Markham, Bremerton, and Meadow Glen. 1 and 2 Meadow Glen are currently under construction. Ultimately, there'll be 2 condos, 28 stories with about 750 units, a 14-story condo, a 16-story rental replacement building, and some stacked townhouses. But importantly, there are some very important public infrastructure, a new north-south street and a new east-west street, so connecting ultimately up to Ellesmere and today connecting out to Markham Road. There is also a new, very high-quality public park which will be secured as part of the development. Now, just to step back, next slide, yeah. Just to step back, when the redevelopment of 1 and 2 Meadow Glen Place was first proposed, the city initiated a comprehensive study of what was called the Markham-Ellesmere Revitalization Area, and it ultimately ended up in OPA 71 and a special study area 322. And you can see the location in OPA 71, 322, and you can see the boundary actually extends on the west side of Markham Road. It extends well south of Bremerton Road, and then it stops at Bremerton Road on the east side. And what it proposed was some very, how can this, they understood that development was coming, and how should the area be renewed and enhanced? And the study included important parameters for redevelopment intensification. It said put that development on Markham Road. That's where it wanted a podium form of development with retail at grade and towers above. It said we need public infrastructure. It identified the public infrastructure, and it said that we need a park. I've been working with the owners of 1 and 2 Meadow Glen Place for almost 10 years, and throughout this entire time, I think they have worked really closely with the city in delivering important public infrastructure. They've delivered the new street network, they've delivered the public park, they've delivered new rental housing, and they've delivered 2 very attractive, well-designed buildings which are currently under construction. If we could have quickly the next slide before I get to my 5 minutes. It is in a mixed-use area, which permits a range of residential and commercial uses. At the present time, the official plan on these lands has no maximum densities and no maximum heights. It's zoned, it is today a commercial plaza, and unfortunately, it should have been developed, should have been acquired, but the owners couldn't acquire the lands at the initial stages, so it still has an old neighborhood commercial zoning on it, and that's the zoning we're seeking to change. If you look at the development context, and the next slide shows you what's in the area, it's not so clear, but the existing buildings on the west side of Markham Road are between 15 and 19 stories, and the ones on the east side are 28 stories, rising to 39 stories, which is proposed. You can see that what we're looking at in terms of the new development is a very different built form. Older development, tall buildings, slab buildings, cast a lot of shadow and have a big impact on sky view. New buildings are taller, but have much more openness and have a much smaller floor plate. If we just move quickly to the site circulation plan, which is the next plan, which shows how we're actually the final jigsaw piece. It shows the location of the tower. It shows the access road, which is coming off Bremerton onto Markham Road, right in, right out only. All the sort of service areas, the ramp, the loading, the garbage, all internal to the site. So what you see is just the attractive exterior form of the building, retail at grade, and we're hoping to, it has been sized, and we hope to get a very nice grocery store in this area. Above this, the next slide, I think we have the location of the towers, and shows you where the internal storage, loading, garbage ramp area is. And then and you can see to the right the public park, which is being dedicated as part of the development of 1 and 2 Meadow Glen Place. And the final slide, I think, shows you the public park. So this is a park that has been designed in collaboration with the city and paid for by the applicant of 1 and 2 Meadow Glen. And it's going to be a real gem in this area. The final slide, I believe, is that's it. That's the building, which you saw in the first slide. I just want to say, we have worked well. We think we've worked well with staff in the review of this application. We'd like to continue to work with staff. We had our public meeting, and only 3 people came, which was a first for me, and they were actually pretty supportive of the development. So that's the proposal. We really would like to continue to work with staff, and if you have any questions, I'd be pleased to answer them.
Thank you, and questions? Yeah, Councillor DeBermaker?
Sorry, thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I'm glad you put that photo up as the last or the last slide. Our staff have expressed concerns about the height of your building, and even though there are really no objections from the local community or the local councillor, how do you respond to those concerns about height? They believe, if you've read the report, I'm sure you have, that it's just too tall.
Yes, in terms of determining the height, I'm sure the owners are always prepared to consider other height options. We look carefully at the impact of that height. And if you looked at the shadow studies, there's actually more shadow on the properties immediately to the south from the buildings on the west side of Markham Road, because this is located on the north side of Bremerton. There's very minimal shadowing impact during most of the day for the buildings on the south side. Today, the houses, the residential neighborhood on the south side, will look north and see a tall building. The new tall building will be slightly closer, but it will be well-designed, it will have a strong base, and it will relate to the park. We think it's an appropriate location for a tall building.
Okay, and through you, Madam Chair, is your, the applicant, the owner, and yourself, you're still prepared to talk to and negotiate with staff about some of the issues that they have concerns with? Or is it over for you?
No, of course. We're always ready to discuss things with staff.
Okay, great, thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Karygiannis.
Thank you, through you, Chair, to the deputant. Looking at this picture, can you please tell me where exactly, I mean, this is, the 3 towers are, I mean, is that existing right now, or is this a proposal?
So I probably wasn't clear enough. This is an area which development has been approved at. It has been approved for 4 towers. 2 of those towers, which are the ones to the north of the proposed building, are under construction today.
And where is that?
It's at Bremerton and Markham. So it's, if we go back to the context plan, it's on the east side of Markham Road. It's south of Ellesmere.
And what's the height on the smaller towers?
They're 28 stories.
The one in the front?
39. The one to the south?
Yes.
39 stories.
Has that been approved?
No, we're here to make a presentation to the
So
city.
that's your proposal, the one in the front?
That's the one, that's our proposal. But it's the same owner that has been developing this entire quadrant.
The 2 in the back are approved, they're under construction, and the one in the front is the one that you're here to talk to us about.
Because at the time the application to the north was submitted, they couldn't acquire this plaza. So they finally managed to acquire the plaza, and they want to do a comprehensive development on Markham Road from the new east-west street all the way down to Bremerton.
Okay, thank you.
And there's actually 4 towers.
Yeah, there's 2 towers on Markham Road. There's the rental housing replacement tower, which is 16 stories, and it's to the east. Then there's another tower to the south, which is not under construction, which is 14 stories. And then on the east side of the new north-south public street, there are 32 stacked townhouses. And then Clementine is to the east of that.
So where would, Markham is to the left in that picture?
Markham is to the right.
To the
Bremerton to the south. The park, the new park, is at the corner of Ellesmere's north.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No, seeing none. Thanks so much, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so now we're going to, I'm just going to give one other round for if there is anybody else to speak on this particular item, which is SC 22.17. If if they want to come down now or speak to the clerk. Nope, seeing none, thank you. And so we'll just go, if there's any questions of staff? Nope. Okay, so Councillor DeBermaker to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wonder if staff could put up the motion that I'm going to move. It's essentially a referral back to staff for further discussions. And I'll walk, so if you can hold my time, Madam, or restart it.
Sure.
Would you allow me a couple of seconds to ask staff some questions?
Oh, no problem, sure. Yep.
Okay, so we'll go back to ask questions of staff. Sure, okay.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to my colleague for giving me this opportunity. This is a proposal that is 35, 38 stories, right? I mean, this is what the applicant is looking for.
That's correct, 39 stories.
Do we have anything else in Scarborough which is that high?
Yes, we have a number of developments that are at that height. We have the 240-story towers up on Sufferance at Kennedy and the 401. One of the buildings immediately east of us here is 39 stories. I'm not aware of any projects at this particular height in this kind of context right across the street from a single-family neighborhood.
There's buildings that are that height north of the 401 and south of the 401, just east of us right now.
Primarily around the Scarborough Center, yes.
So this is not too far away from Scarborough Center. So this will not be, I mean, the request, if approved, will not be setting a precedence.
Madam Chair, I'd like to address that question, if you don't mind. So these lands are outside the city center. Density and height is allocated to the city center. However, it's not allocated in areas like this that are not part of any secondary plan or a center designation. The other properties that do exceed 30 stories in height are generally in areas not adjacent to neighborhoods and low-rise development. And so this context is very different from the others, and this context and this application contravenes a very basic planning principle of a 45-degree angular plane from the closest single-family lot. So if you would look at the other side of Bremorton Drive, you see single-family dwellings there. A very basic urban design planning principle is to establish a 45-degree angular plane from those properties up to the proposed development, and this application contravenes that. In fact, if we're allowing that principle to be contravened here, then it endangers that principle to be contravened throughout the East District.
Through the chair to staff, the buildings that are being put on the just in front of the hotel on Kennedy and 401, how high are they?
Those are the Tridel developments, and they're 40 stories in height, 39.
That's in front of the hotel.
In front of the hotel.
And that's right across from residential area.
That's adjacent to the 401 and in a former employment area.
But that's right across. I mean, like you're saying that this is close to a residential area. I would say to you that that is similar. So the precedence has been set.
That location is much further removed from Kennedy, so that the single-family homes on the other side of Kennedy are much further than this situation. And in fact, that development is within the Agincourt secondary plan, which contemplated intensity and some height. So again, it is a different context.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And any other questions of staff then before going back to the speakers? Nope, thank you very much. And Councillor DeBermaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If staff can put up my motion. So my motion is basically asking staff, so I'm going to delete the staff recommendation and replace it with a referral motion. And it's referring the item back to the planning staff with some direction, that they continue the negotiations with the owner towards achieving an amended rezoning application, and with some targets there to reduce the height of the building by 10 to 20%, to address, there's a number of sort of standard issues that we have with development applications. What about parkland? What about garbage pickup? Where will the driveway be? All of those issues. To seek the Tier 2 performance standards and the Toronto Green Standard, and to look at contributing either cash or units towards affordable housing as part of the Section 37 contribution. And just 2 and 3 is having staff report back in September if they cannot negotiate or fail to negotiate with the owner, or if they have made a settlement, if you will, or an agreement, that they bring this matter back again, give public notice and have the public meeting. Madam Chair, if I can indulge my fellow committee members for just a little bit, I certainly, as the local councillor, don't have a concern with the application that's before us today at 39 stories. We sent out 1,000 community notices to 1,000 families. If each family showed up, we would have had a very large meeting. But when we had the public meeting, only 3 individuals showed up. 2 of at the end of the meeting, because we had a long discussion, it was a 2.5-hour discussion with those 3 people. Of the 3 people, at the end of the meeting, 2 people who live on Vermorton in single-family homes supported the 39-story tower that the applicant was proposing on the old Max Milk store. One person who lives, again, beside some stacked townhouses that will be built, said she thought 39 stories was too tall. And I said, well, what height would you be comfortable with? She said 28 stories. And I said, well, why 28 stories? And she said, well, the building next to it is 28 stories, so I think having a new building the same height as the existing building, that doesn't bother me, but going higher, bothers me, and it blocks the sun. So those are, again, out of 1,000 potential people impacted, 3 showed up. The majority actually supported the application more or less as is. But I hear the concerns of staff. I don't really share them. But what I want to do is refer this back to staff, let them talk to the applicant, give them some direction. It would be nice to see an affordable housing component here or a contribution towards that. We want to make sure that we have a green standard. We want to make sure that we perhaps lower the height of the building. But again, going back, I think the applicant who's in the audience today, his family has owned that, well, not that property, the adjacent property for, I believe, 50 years. The family has owned that property. I have had no property standards complaints about those buildings in my